Hello and welcome to the Embrace the Mud podcast. Today, our episode topic is a crucial one. We are going to be talking about a big sign that you might not be fully relationship ready. And the sign is high emotional reactivity. We're going to talk about what this looks like and why it's so problematic. So let's dive in. You are listening to the Embrace the Mud podcast, where we discuss all things related to healthy, joyful, and life-giving relationships. Why focus on relationships? Because the quality of our intimate partnerships and close connections influences our health, happiness, and longevity more than anything else in our lives. Relationships matter a lot. So together, let's jump into the mud, aka our messy relationships, pull some weeds, plant some seeds, and create an enriching environment where strong relationships can take root. I am your grateful host, Dara Posner. I am a relational disaster working toward relational mastery. I am also a positive psychology coach, a relational mindset coach, a blogger, and now a podcaster. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Embrace the Mud podcast, where we discuss all things related to healthy, joyful, life-giving relationships. If you are a fan of this podcast, please subscribe, follow, like, review, and share. Your engagement in this way is crucial to the success of the podcast, and I appreciate you taking just a few seconds to support my mission, which is to help people like you flourish in life and love. All right, so before we dive into our topic today, I just want to very quickly invite you to an upcoming virtual event that I will be hosting called the Love Boost Challenge. And it will be taking place for all 29 days of February, where each day on Instagram, I will be posting an idea for an activity or an exercise or a contemplation that will help guide you into a deeper connection with yourself or in a relationship with someone that you love. It might be your partner, it could be somebody else in your life that you value, but the whole goal is to foster deeper connection throughout the month of February. So if this sounds interesting to you, please head over to Instagram, make sure to connect with me on there. My handle is @EmbraceTheMud, and join the Love Boost Challenge for the month of February. Okay, now to our topic for today. Let's start by defining what we mean by emotional reactivity. This is that intense emotional response that sometimes seems to come out of nowhere and leads to hostility or volatility. Now, a certain level of emotional reaction is completely normal, but when it becomes hostile, when it becomes volatile, this is the sign that something deeper is at play. The reason why high emotional reactivity is an indicator that you're not emotionally ready is because our primary job as romantic partners is to provide a sense of safety on all dimensions in our relationship. That includes physical safety, emotional and psychological safety, spiritual safety, sexual safety, and financial safety. If you're highly emotionally reactive, you're not capable of offering that level of safety. And that is a guarantee pathway to dysfunction in the relationship. So this is where emotional maturity comes into play. Emotional maturity is a key pillar of healthy and thriving relationships. Being emotionally mature means that even if you have triggers and intense emotions, you understand where they're coming from. You have an awareness about what is going on inside of you, and you have an ability to manage your emotions in such a way that you're not reacting in ways in conflict or in difficult moments in your relationship that feel threatening to your partner. Often it's in romantic relationships that our unhealed wounds reveal themselves. So how can you recognize if you're struggling with emotional reactivity? I invite you to ask yourself these 3 questions. Do I tend to erupt or lash out when I feel triggered? Do I blame my partner for my feelings or my behaviors in those moments? Am I highly defensive or excessively critical in my relationship? If you find that you resonate with these questions, it's essential to acknowledge that there is some work to do. The important thing is that you can provide that sense of safety and manage yourself well enough to be able to show up in your relationship in a consistently respectful way. And that includes those times where you're feeling overcome with intense emotions, or you're swept up in an emotional flashback that can happen when you have unresolved childhood trauma or early life dysfunction. So as we conclude today's episode, remember that navigating emotional storms of this nature requires self-awareness and a commitment to growth and healing. If you find yourself struggling to manage your emotions, seeking help is a courageous step toward building a healthier, more resilient you. And it's certainly a very loving step that is an indication of how much you really care about your partner and your relationship if you're currently in one. All right, that is all I have for you today. I will be back here very soon with another episode of the Embrace the Mud podcast. Until then, I would love to connect with you in other spaces. You can find me over on Instagram. As I mentioned earlier in the episode, my handle is @EmbraceTheMud, and I hope you'll join me for the Love Boost Challenge in February, and also sign up for my newsletter, Questions for the Soul. You can go over to mudcoaching.com, and if journaling is something that you enjoy and just personal reflection and introspection, I will send you a weekly journal prompt to help you just sort of reflect on what your true deep values, desires, and needs are. Okay, well, I will be back tomorrow with another episode here. And until then, please remember, you are wired for love and connection. You are capable of love and connection. You are worthy of love and connection. I'll see you soon.